Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever felt the absolute drag of context switching while trying to manage remote infrastructure, you are in exactly the right place. Because today, we're going to fix your server workflow for good using VS Code Remote SSH.
Seriously, think about it. How many apps are you juggling right now just to change one single line of code on a server? You've got an SSH client open, a local text editor, maybe a clunky SFTP tool. It's a fragmented, frustrating way to work, right? Well, today we are trading that whole three-window headache for something vastly better. We're going to handle absolutely everything natively right inside a single Visual Studio Code workspace. We're basically turning your local editor into a unified control center.
So what's the actual secret ingredient making this happen? It's a lightweight, almost invisible component called the VS Code server.
Think of this VS Code server as the brain on the remote side. It automatically installs the very first time you connect. And because it runs all your commands and extensions independently over there on the remote OS, you get a full local quality development experience. We're talking IntelliSense, code navigation, debugging, without your source code ever sitting on your actual laptop. And setting this up, it's honestly a breeze. Just 3 highly practical steps. Grab the remote SSH extension, point it to your standard SSH config file, and connect to your host. That is literally it. No complicated server-side agents to mess with. Now, the real magic happens in your SSH configuration file. Best practices absolutely dictate using SSH public key authentication. By simply mapping your host IP, your username, and the path to your private key right there in your local config, you unlock this beautifully seamless, passwordless connection straight from the command palette.
And the payoff? Once you hit connect, a persistent little green indicator pops up in the bottom left corner of your UI. That badge is your absolute confirmation that your workspace is now securely tethered to the cloud.
Instantly, your environment transforms into the ultimate split-screen setup. On the left pane, you've got your remote file system neatly organized. On the right, a native Linux shell is just sitting there, waiting for your commands. You're looking at a remote server, but it feels exactly like your local computer.
Okay, let's bring this into the real world. Picture this. You've got an urgent routing issue on a production Nginx VM hosted over on Google Cloud. The pressure is completely on, and you need to push a fix like yesterday.
We are going to walk through a rapid, complete repair loop. Notice how insanely fast this sequence is. We're talking 0 to 3 minutes. Connect, edit, save, and verify, all without your fingers ever having to leave the editor.
Step 1 is navigation. Instead of dropping into a terminal and frantically typing out cd and ls commands until you're totally lost in directories, you just visually browse the file tree. Straight down into /etc/ngx, you find the exact file you need in seconds.
But wait, hit the brakes for a second. The /etc directory requires root privileges, right? So you're probably wondering how we handle this access without enabling risky root SSH logins, which, let's be honest, is a massive security red flag.
Don't worry, there are some really clean permission strategies here. Best practices dictate safely adding your standard user to the appropriate group, like www.data. Or you could use the SSHFS extension with SFTPS. Or honestly, just temporarily pop open the integrated terminal and run sudo directly. Security stays incredibly tight, but your workflow stays perfectly fluid. All right, permissions are sorted. You click that Nginx config file, and it opens up right in your main editor pane. You make your routing fix effortlessly, and you're enjoying full syntax highlighting, linting, formatting, the whole shebang. Those are luxuries you definitely don't get trapped inside a raw terminal editor on a remote server. The fix is in. You hit save, then you literally just shift your eyes over to the integrated terminal and fire off sudo systemctl reload nginx. Because this terminal is running natively on your Google Cloud VM, the server processes it instantly.
And for the big finale, verification. Without switching windows or opening a browser, you just run a quick curl http://localhost command right there in that exact same terminal. Boom! The correct HTML prints to your screen, verifying your fix is live, a complete 3-minute unified workflow.
And look, beyond just editing files, this environment totally supercharges your capabilities. VS Code can automatically forward remote ports so you can test web apps locally. You can keep sessions perfectly persistent using tmux, so nothing breaks if your Wi-Fi drops. You can even install extensions to stream server logs in real time. The ultimate takeaway here is the sheer synergy of it all.
You are fusing the immense processing power and memory of remote cloud infrastructure with the highly customized, visually rich comfort of your own local setup. It truly is the best of both worlds.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If your laptop is essentially no longer doing the heavy lifting, if it's literally just a glass window into the cloud, what is stopping you from coding your next major deployment on a simple tablet? As the line between local and remote computing entirely vanishes, how will this newfound freedom reshape where and how you build? Think about that next time you fire up your editor.